fellow Fumblers, and welcome to the 50th episode of the Film Fumblers podcast. Today, we are going to be reviewing Do the Right Thing, movie directed by Spike Lee and released in 1989. So without further ado, my name's Adrian.
I'm Jay.
I'm Taryn.
What's up? It's James.
50 episodes, guys. Holy shit. We're here. We out here.
And we're all back together.
Yeah,
We had
it would.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
Stragglers.
Our last, 2 episodes? And then next week's episode is going to be a little bit... We're going to have a couple guests in, but it's going to be great.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Before we forget, let's jump into this very special 50th shot. We've taken a lot more than 50 shots, sadly, but 50th one line. Cheers,
It's
guys.
kind of crazy to
50
think.
episodes.
50 shots, 50
Cheers.
movies.
Oh man, cheers.
Cheers.
Oh yeah. Mm.
Let me tell you,
The
50
50th
shots
shot.
later does not get easier.
Yeah.
I did for me,
Yeah.
brother. I just I just zenned that one. I was like, that one's going down smooth.
I'm one with the shot. What are you guys drinking on the side?
I'm drinking Truly strawberry tea. This weirdly tastes too much like tea. It's weird. But
There's no carbonation in
I was
those
about to
bad
ask
boys,
about
right?
that.
there is carbonation, but it's straight. It just tastes like tea.
Like in
Yeah.
a good way? It sounds like it'd
In
be
a-
a bad
in-
way.
In a weird way, more bad than good. I
Okay.
think.
Yeah. What you got, Jay?
Truly's.
Truly's.
over here. The
Slice of Heffen from Taryn, and I got
Oh,
the champagne of beers, Miller High Life.
High life.
High Life.
great choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, relevant
Just for the
to
movie.
Yeah, relevant to the show today. All
How's
right,
it
let's.
taste, though?
Yeah, how's it taste? Does it taste like the champagne of beers?
I always thought Stella Artois was the champagne of beers because
Dude, I thought
it has
that
like
could
the
be.
little paper foil on top.
I thought that was their
It's-
tag.
no, that's Modelo, dude. It the Stella has just the paper.
Just the
It's
paper.
not
Oh,
foil.
Modelo has the foil.
Modelo has the. It's like you're unwrapping a Christmas gift every time.
So that's the champagne of beer. I
That's
don't
the-
know about this.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
This is-
interesting.
and it's a
Tastes
beer.
like high school. Tastes like high school.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's best served in a red Solo cup with some hairs in it and warm.
Yeah, right after you pull a ping pong ball out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, guys, Do the Right Thing. Was this we're continuing on our Black History Month? It's still February 20th as we're recording. Was this your pick, Jay? I think this was yours, right?
It was just like a movie
so?
that we had brought up, you know.
Yeah.
I guess you could call it my pick, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're saying it's your pick, and I hated
All
it,
right.
so I'm blaming. No,
That's a lot, Jay.
no.
Yeah,
I
No.
Go
I
ahead.
knew about this movie, but I hadn't ever seen it. And like I knew of Spike Lee, and I've seen other things that he's done that I really liked. I've never
okay.
seen this, but I knew that it was in the Criterion Collection, so I assumed that it had some kind of like significance,
Right.
whether it pertained to like saying something or showing something. So yeah, I was excited to see it. Didn't really know anything about it going in, honestly. I kind of I like to go in blind to the movies that I just don't know.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, honestly, the first half, I watched this across 2 days for full disclosure, but the first half, I felt like it kind of dragged a bit. Like, you know, it moved a little bit slow, but it was all worth it in the end for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll throw that out there to start.
Interesting.
No, I feel that. I remember like watching this. I was about halfway through, and I was kind of just like, okay, so it's a movie about a neighborhood, and I was kind of just thinking like, where's the conflict? You know, like where's the character who needs to overcome something? Where's like the big climax? And then it like towards the end, you're just like, oh, all of it is the conflict. Like the whole thing, you know, like. There's racial tension throughout the entire film, and like that's like what takes the story of the movie.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I didn't look this up, but like, you know, when we're talking about, because it came out in 1989, right? So
Yeah.
when we're talking about racial tension on the big screen, right? But from the perspective of like a black person that has like lived through this, right? Because there were films at the same year even
Yeah.
that outperformed this film in the award shows, which if you give a shit about that or not, right? Like
Yeah.
who explored like racial, I don't want to say tension, I would say
Reconciliation.
relation. Yeah,
Hmm.
from the wrong, right, quote unquote side, right? It was like from like white people like, trying to make amends or something, right? And it's just
Oh,
kind of
okay.
weird.
Yeah.
And like this
Yeah.
this felt like a real neighborhood and a real time and like a real people's lives, right?
Yeah.
Because there was
Yeah.
a lot of like kind of mundane things just going on. Like they would like
Yeah.
Yeah.
homie works as a pizza delivery guy, which by the way, Mookie, I fucking love Spike Lee's character. I
Yeah.
thought that he did so good as an
Yeah.
actor, like, and to
Yeah.
direct and like envision this whole thing, but also act in it.
Yeah,
I
I
was
was really
really blown
surprised.
away.
Dude, he looks so
Yeah.
young too. How
He's like
old? Do you know
32
that?
or something in
32.
the movie.
32.
In the movie.
Wait, holy shit!
I didn't think it was him because he's so young. He looks so young.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
looks like he's like 22, like maybe like
He looked
early
really
20s.
young. But he played it slick and smooth, and I was like,
Oh,
holy
yeah.
shit. I
Yeah.
had respect for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to what I was saying originally, I don't know if this kind of thing had been shown before this movie or not.
I want to
and
touch
I-
on the from
Yeah,
like
if
an
anybody
interesting.
knows.
Well, so there was an interesting thing. I'm just going to read off a little interesting trivia I saw. During the 1990 Oscar ceremony, while announcing the Best Picture nominees, Kim Basinger caused some controversy when she ignored her script text and said, "We've got 5 great films here, and they're great for one reason, because they tell the truth. But there's one film missing from this list that deserves to be on it. Because ironically, it might tell the biggest truth of all, and that's Do the Right Thing."
Damn.
So
She didn't say
She
that.
did not get
She
invited
did.
back after that.
she said that, and it caused controversy, and
Oh, she did say that.
yeah,
Okay.
she said that, and it was like not on script. Like she
Yeah.
was breaking the
she went
script
off
for that.
script. Okay,
Yeah, it was an off script
Nice.
thing.
that's cool.
But yeah, so I mean, it was on the public's mind, right? But it was one of those things where it was like, do we talk about this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because it was.
it's so weird,
Yeah.
dude. Like, why is that like? And it's still the same thing today. Like, why is it weird to talk about? Why does it feel?
Dude, that's
weird to
what's
talk
crazy. The thing I saw about this movie was it was so controversial because people thought it was going to cause like riots and shit from people
about?
watching
Which
it.
is insane.
Yeah.
It's like,
right?
what?
Like,
Yeah.
that's casual racism, right? Like,
Yeah.
just assuming that like, oh, black people can't watch this without like going and causing a riot after,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. And it in itself, like, this is the thing that I think fucked me up the most, honestly, was that even though there was elements like everybody's costumes, right, or what they're wearing, like things felt aged, but it didn't feel old.
Yeah, the
You know what I
themes and
mean?
stuff sadly
Yeah.
have not
Right.
changed at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if anything,
Yeah.
have just grown, right? Which is like, it's just insane. And
The
that's
thing
where
that
it
blew
led me to
my
that
mind-
question. Go
The
ahead.
thing that blew my mind was this was like 2 years before Rodney King happened,
Oh
I
shit.
think,
Okay. Yeah.
which is like crazy.
But it's-
crazy to think about.
That's what sucks is
Yeah.
like it was right after some other tragedies, but it's like it just happens too often. Like it sadly just happens so
Right.
often that it's like
Yeah.
no matter when this movie came out, it's like, oh, it's right before or after. It's like, fuck, man, shit needs to fucking change.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to like go there right away. Like I kind of want to, build up to there. But this is a good like jumping off point, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right,
so, I
yeah.
just to start us off here, kind of at the beginning, the very beginning, the before the
Yeah.
beginning, the Universal intro, right? Did you guys even watch that? Like it's
No.
I don't-
like thing. It looked so old that I was like, okay, like what am I getting into? Like I was a little bit worried, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it goes into the opening credits, which are just longer than shit, right?
Yeah.
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 Like
And it's-
really long. Yeah.
it's Tina, right? That's her character's name. Tina
Yeah.
dancing to Fight the Power.
Fight the Power.
And it's like the whole fucking song. Like it's long.
Yeah.
And at
It's like
first I was just
they're like on like it felt like a play. It felt
It
like
felt
she
like a
was
play.
on like
Yeah.
a
Definitely like on a
stage.
set for sure.
It
Like
definitely
a
was on
music
a set,
video,
right?
yeah.
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 I read that she did that. They shot that scene for like 8 hours. She was dancing
Yeah.
for like 8 hours.
Jesus.
And because so Spike Lee like wanted, she was just like he didn't really give her like a direction on this. He was just like, okay, here's a song, just like dance to it. And so she was just like dancing. And then he was just like not getting what he wanted, not getting what he wanted. Made her stay there for 8 hours. And at like in that time, she was like, "This motherfucker is pissing me off." Like she was like feeling like hate and anger towards Spike Lee, and so the
Yeah.
moves that she was doing showed that.
Oh,
And when he got those moves out of
Wow.
her, he was like, "Cut it. That's it right there.
perfect, dude.
Dude,
Eight
It's
that's
like
fucking hours,
awesome.
dude."
Okay,
it's like
another. Go
it's
ahead,
like
Jay.
The Shining. It's like
Mm.
who was Stanley Kubrick? Is that who did it?
Yeah,
The
Yeah,
Shining
Kubrick.
Yeah.
with Wendy, where he's like torturing her, like 'cause, right? Wasn't he like kind of an asshole? But
Yeah.
Jesus, Spike Lee.
Interesting thing about so do you guys know how Spike Lee casted Rosie Perez for Tina's role?
Mm-mm.
He met her
So
in the
it's
club, right?
yeah, so it's an interesting story. So Spike Lee was hosting like a birthday party at some nightclub, and they were doing what sounds like a modern day like twerking contest essentially. And
Busted
Rosie
challenge.
Perez, she got on top of the speaker and she started dancing on the speaker. And Spike Lee was like, no, like get down. He was like, you're gonna fucking fall and break your neck, and then I'm gonna get sued. And so like he had to get security to get her down, and she was like fucking in his face, like fuck you, like for doing that shit. And he started hearing her talk and hearing her go off on him. He's like, do you want to be in a movie? Like he just knew,
That's
he just knew from
amazing.
there, which is such a cool way to be casted. Like
That
She
Puerto
was so
Rican
good,
woman voice.
yeah,
she was great.
amazing. Yeah,
The way she
did
told
great.
people off, it felt so real.
yeah, dude. A lot of this movie felt so real.
Yep.
Like we said,
Yeah.
like, it just felt like real life.
Yeah, kind of going back to what Adrian said, like he was like, okay, this is just about a neighborhood.
Mhm.
Like I didn't feel like it was slow at all. Like I was just like, I don't know, maybe it's me. I'm like so enthralled with New York and New York culture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was like
For sure.
enjoying every little bit of it. Like it was a treat to watch. Just the mundane life, the one day. Like,
Yeah.
it was so
Yeah.
cool to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally
so how
on your
long was
side.
the
Yeah.
movie? How long was the movie? Like, did it take
2
place
hours.
over?
A little over
so-
2 hours.
Oh, like in the
No,
world,
like the actual in the film. In the
day and a
world.
half,
day.
maybe.
Yeah,
2
it
days?
was a
That's
day and then-
short.
Yeah.
And then the next day.
Because it's like
Yeah,
supposed to be like
like-
the hottest day of the year or something is when it
Oh,
happens.
that's right. And then the next day was going to be really hot too. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah,
really great.
Which is a
storytelling.
beautiful like thing, like where it's like, it's just gonna get hotter. Like, it's
Mhm.
funny. It's like the tensions of
Tensions
the heat are just rising, rising,
Mhm.
rising.
Yeah.
And Samuel Jackson sadly says, today's gonna be hot too.
Yeah.
Next day.
Nothing's changed really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we
Dude,
talk?
Sam Jackson.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
So
can we talk
good.
for a minute just
Ah.
about how unexpectedly stacked this cast was? I was just like, dude, like I did not expect to see Samuel L. Jackson. Like I went into it like Jay, just completely blind. And then I was
Yeah.
like, is that Martin Lawrence? Like, is he just
Yeah.
It's his first
This was
movie,
his-
dude.
Yeah, film
First movie, yeah.
debut. That I was just like, holy shit! You got Martin Lawrence. I mean, Giancarlo Esposito. Maybe butchering that name,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
from Breaking Bad, and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
But I was just like, holy
Interesting to
shit.
see him play another character because he's in The Boys. He basically
Mandalorian.
plays Gus again, and in Mandalorian, he's
Mandalorian, that's right,
basically
that's right.
playing the same character again.
The villain, right? Yeah.
True,
And,
dude.
He's
yeah,
the
so
villain.
Far
it's like
Cry
interesting
5,
to
6 or
see.
whatever.
Yeah,
Dude,
interesting to see like this other.
He's so
side of
young.
him.
I can't still like can't see it like in his face. Watching it, I was
You
like,
can't?
I'm
Really?
like, damn,
Yeah.
like I don't see it. Yeah. I mean,
I
obviously it's
looked
him,
up
but-
the cast like as I was watching it, or like while I started watching kind of thing, and I saw his face. I was like, no way, he's fucking in this. And then when Bugging Out, his character came on screen, I was like, dude, that's it. I saw it right away. I just knew
Dude,
right
and
away.
it's such a contrast from what we know him from, right? Just because
Yeah.
he's older and the shit he's been in, where
Mhm.
he's very like, oh well, we'll just have to kill them, right? And then in this, he's just like all over the place, like crazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it was
Yeah.
just
This
cool.
ramen
It
noodle
was cool to
haircut or
see
whatever
that.
they call it.
Dude, I loved it. And
Oh,
the
God.
glasses, they're like perfectly circled. I was like, this
Sick,
guy's
yeah.
sick.
So great. 30, I mean,
Yeah.
32 years ago from like what we know him, over 30 years. Like it's
Oh my
that's
god.
a lot of time to be in the business, man. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So Sam Jackson, right? He's the DJ. His character
Yeah.
name is great. What is it? Like
His
Mr.
character name is
Mr. It's-
Mr. Senior Love. What is it, Mr.
Yeah.
Senior
I
Love?
feel like there's another word.
Something like
Love
that.
Daddy.
Love Daddy.
Love
Mr.
Daddy.
Senior
Yeah, there
Love
you go.
Daddy.
Yeah. So he's an interesting guy in this movie, right? Like his character
Yeah.
is like kind of like a narrator, kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
keeps things moving, but
Very
he interacts
neutral.
with the characters directly too, which is cool.
Yeah.
He's a DJ, right? He's a radio DJ, so he's like kind of actively like both narrating to us, the audience, but also literally to the neighborhood,
city,
like
yeah.
what's going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, he's like
Um,
he's like talks as if they can hear him, just like, hey, it's Mookie coming down the street and all this stuff. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's so
yeah.
cool.
He knows everyone's
sick.
listening to
Yeah,
him, you know?
yeah.
Yeah, I loved it, dude. I loved that opening. But yeah, I just to address like the slowness part. Yeah, but so it kind of starts out slow, but I think I read that like Spike Lee he basically the entire movie is just like boiling water, right? And it
Mhm.
starts out slow and it bubbles and bubbles and bubbles and bubbles and then it like goes insane, and that's the
Mhm.
point, right? And so for that first half, like I was sucked in and I was like plugged in and like definitely was really liking it, but it just felt kind of long. I mean, I didn't feel like a lot of time had passed. It just felt like things were kind of dragging a bit,
Mm.
just because of like the the mundaneness of the neighborhood. But like that's the point, right? Like we're putting you into this place
Yeah.
where things like everyday things are happening.
Which
And-
makes the. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I like that a lot.
Yeah, yeah, but like, so like the mundaneness of the entire movie like makes the climax that much more powerful because
Mhm.
this is like us coming from an outside perspective. I could imagine when like Eric Garner happened or something like that. It was probably similar to this where it was just a mundane day until that happened, until that
Right.
big thing happened.
Yeah.
And it's just a regular day. It's a regular day for these kind of people where they have to deal with just the bullshit of life,
Yeah.
But
I think
like in some ways you see like how they've adapted, if that's the word. Like there's even though like the the circumstances around them are like shitty, they still
Yeah.
have this like strong sense of community that I've never had living in like
Yeah.
a neighborhood,
Same, dude.
and it made me kind of jealous. I was like, damn,
Yeah.
I wish like I could just walk down the street, say what's up to all the homies.
Literally
Like,
everyone.
"Oh, cool."
Well, I mean, it's totally different circumstances. We weren't all
For
living
sure.
on top of each other and everything like that.
True.
Yeah, and it's
But
like New
it's-
York and all that shit.
Like the dynamic between the community and even like just like the animosity they had towards each other is like
Yeah.
it's so fun to watch. I mean, it's heartbreaking to watch, but interesting to watch. And like one thing that really stuck out with me was we can get into the mayor's character,
Yeah.
how he was
Mayor.
he was kind of berated for being a drunk and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about it?
Yeah, I mean the mayor. I love just the character building throughout the entire movie, where the mayor is like this drunk, and everyone kind of just knows him knows him for that. And I feel like there's a level of, I mean, we've talked, just like how tight this community is, but there's just a level of like brotherhood where like it almost seems like the people who hate him are just like they're not really gonna like do anything, you know what I mean? They're not really gonna like they're just like they hate him like a brother hates his older brother, like you know, like the two Italian brothers, where they're just like fuck you, you know.
Yeah.
And his relationship with mother sister is like so great. And fun fact, they're actually married in real life. Or
Yeah.
we're married.
Oh.
He's
Yeah.
passed on.
Both of them, right? But yeah, when I learned that after, I was like, that is incredible. Like that's why they probably
Yeah.
had such a
Yeah.
good chemistry. I was like,
Yeah.
Well, an interesting thing about those two characters too, they were both like activists, like very prominent activists in this movement, but like
Mm.
they're not like, I don't know, the thing that I read was basically saying like it's interesting that they're there because both of them are kind of like characters who are like on the brink of kind of like moving on, and like, you know, there's not much life left for them to live and stuff, which is like telling of their like activism career, where they spent a ton of time like advocating for a bunch of these things, and like just because of the way things were, they didn't really move the needle as much as some of the other activists that are like prominent in this movie specifically, right? Like MLK or Malcolm X.
Yeah.
But they were like very much so a part of this movement. And so to even have them there was like a whole, it was like a big thing.
Wasn't the guy with the speech impediment also really big in activism? I think
Okay, I wanted to
might
talk about
have
him, but
heard that.
I don't know the answer to that question. But I did want to ask like what you guys thought about that
Yeah.
character.
So he wasn't initially written into the screenplay. Like the actor who played him, his character name is
Smiley.
yeah.
Smiley.
Name. But yeah, his name is Roger. I'm gonna butcher his Roger middle name Smith. Middle name something Smith, and then yeah, he like talked to Spike Lee and just like wanted to get a role in there, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's an interesting role to just throw in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a role that ages very well, I think.
I think it was. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I think it was important to, because like, you know, you're as the audience, you sort of get tricked into believing that Sal is a decent person, especially when he gives him money and stuff like that. I think it was
Yeah.
important for Sal's character development for him to be there,
Okay,
but also for him to get somewhat of the last laugh. Because remember, he's in the pizzeria with
he
The fire.
match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and
something.
post picture.
Yeah, that was good. That's something that I noticed about his character is like he seemed like the moral like standard, I guess, something like that, like where he was like the test for every character. Is like however this character interacts with this person is like how you should look at them in a certain way. Like you're saying, they tricked you into thinking Sal was like a good guy because he treated him well. But then like Spike Lee's character was kind of like being like dismissive of him and stuff. And it's like kind of like whatever. Like,
Yeah.
that's how
Yeah.
it kind of felt. I
In the
guess.
same way that I had that feeling when all the neighborhood young dudes were dismissing the mayor, like, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's what's interesting about this movie is that it's like a swinging pendulum of emotions because there's really no like person you can entirely root for, right? Like everyone kind of has their faults, that's what makes this so realistic because
Yeah.
you get to see everyone and it's so fucking raw. And you can't say that. I mean, you could like Mookie, but like Mookie has his faults where he's not even really a good father.
I was
He's
just gonna
kind of
say,
passive. He's kind of a bum.
Kind
Like,
of
I mean, like
shitter
not.
at work.
I mean, he
yeah.
does his shit. Like he takes 2 hour breaks. I mean, not that
Yeah.
I've ever done that before, but like, you know, like it. That's what's like kind of weird about this movie is that there's no one to root for. And then like that one person that you can almost see that's like, hey, this guy's kind of good in Sal, like you eventually find out like, yeah, he's not he's still got that deep-seated racism and just, you know, just
okay, I want to disagree with you a little bit on Sal's character. So you said like we were tricked into thinking that Sal is like a good character. I don't know. For me, he felt like one of the better characters. It felt like he was almost like the moral compass of just like yeah, like we're all fucking struggling and we're all just doing what we have to do to get by. And like, I know you don't like, he's telling his sons, like, I know you don't like having our business in a black neighborhood, but like his monologue on talking about like, he's like, we've fed these people, like
Yeah, I
all of
grew
these
up on
people,
this. I loved that
they grew up
fucking
on,
scene,
they
dude.
grew up on my food. And he's like, and I'm proud of
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
Yeah.
he definitely like has a lot of love for this neighborhood
Yeah.
and a lot of
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think, hold on, real quick. I think
Yeah.
we're tricked into thinking that he's like the best person, but he's like still kind of in the same place as everyone
Wow.
else. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I kind of
Yeah.
heard.
And like, okay, so like I want to think that, okay, so like he's like, oh yeah, we raised these kids, but it might come from a state of arrogance and
Okay.
a perspective of arrogance and what's the opposite of inferiority?
Superiority.
Superiority.
Like
Sorry, I'm
they
stupid.
owe us something.
Yeah, not that they owe us or anything, but
Or-
like,
Yeah.
but just like, look at how much we've done for them. They've done nothing for us. Kind of not. It's not that give and take relationship.
I don't know.
And I
They're
think
the only ones
you.
who know their business. But yeah.
But the point of the movie is I think Spike Lee is trying to let white people relate to Sal, and then once he breaks the boombox, that's when he starts yelling all these slurs, and it's all this deep seated resentment and it comes out. And I think Spike Lee wants people not of color to take a look at their kind of hidden closet racism. And I
Okay.
think that's why I still think Sal is kind of bad,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
deep down he's still he blew up. And I know Radio Raheem was being a dick and everything was being a dick, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he still
He
said
still went.
those
He still
words
sunk
he
to that
said.
level, right?
Yeah, he still sunk to that
Yeah.
level. Although he was trying to keep that moral high ground, even telling his son, "Hey, this is wrong." The closet, deep-seated feelings he had, they came out, and it's ugly. But I don't think. I don't know. This movie is like incredibly complicated and
And it
like,
all
go ahead. Yeah.
it all, I think it all stems into something that's like this completely bigger issue that I really feel like Spike Lee was going for, was like this systemic racism and the systemic oppression that's happening to all of these people. And and a lot of it is just like, a lot of it has to do with race, but a lot of it also has to do with just poverty, with just not having a lot, right? Like
Yeah.
all of these people in this neighborhood, you have the Puerto Ricans, you have black people, you have you have Italians, you have
The Koreans.
the Koreans, like all of them are in this neighborhood and they're all relatively struggling, right? And when you look at it at a very micro level, you see them kind of turn on themselves, and you see racism from everyone to everyone. Like they have that whole
Yeah.
monologue where they all
Yeah.
Montage is so fucking
Montage.
funny.
Fun fact: Ice Cube featured one of that in one of his songs. Like he featured
Oh,
the
nice.
monologue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you see all of them turning on each other, and like
Yeah.
when you kind of zoom out and you see like they're they're wrong at they're mad at the wrong people, right? They're mad at this. They're mad at the system. It's
The
causing it.
system has
Yeah.
pitted them against each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Goya
And,
being eaten.
Oh.
He's like, the funniest line is 15 in the car, 30 in the apartment. He says it to the Puerto Ricans. So it's like, I don't know. It's like,
dude,
in New York City, there's like a 2-bedroom apartment and there's like fucking 45 people fucking living in it. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But it's so funny.
But to go back to like the systemic issue is like the police aren't shown that much in this film. They have a couple of parts,
Yeah.
but I mean, really, like what really ignites everything is when Radio is killed by the police, and everyone so quickly turns on each other rather than, you know, just turning and being like, why the fuck did these cops just kill Radio?
Yeah.
Radio didn't deserve to die, right? And you know, they all of course had their struggle and their controversy within themselves, but you know, it's not I feel like it's not channeled at the right area, right? I don't know. It's interesting. It's complicated, and like it brings up this discussion. It's like an interesting movie to watch. And it's and again, like what we said in the beginning of the episode is like it's sad how relevant it still is.
30 years later, dude.
Yeah.
You know, over 30 years later, and this is still such a relevant movie.
Yeah, Alonso in the chat is saying this movie should have been like required viewing for the whole country or whatever. Like it kind of is starting to be. Like in high school, I saw some articles saying that some high schoolers have to watch it now. I watched it for the first time in college. I don't remember what class it was now. I have no idea, but
Yeah.
it's like, dude, yeah, like I don't know. I agree with
Yeah.
that sentiment.
I mean, I think there's a lot that was just said, so I'm gonna try to like pick through it. But
Yeah, sorry.
basically, like, no, this is good. I mean, there's a lot happening, right? So the Smiley, right? Let's go back to Smiley for a sec.
Okay.
What I kind of took, but also read a few things just because I was really curious about this character, was so he's constantly, you know, walking around with these pictures of MLK and Malcolm X,
Civil rights activists
trying to sell them and shit, right?
Yeah.
And his views on things are like basically always like the right views, right? Or like, you know, he's got like good intentions, seems like a good guy, right? And what I had read was that he's the character who has a stance and a way of like thinking about these things that he wants to get out, but he's the only character who can't ever get those opinions heard correctly or in the right way, right? But he's the one who has the most solidified, you know, views on those things, which is really interesting because like Mookie and Bugging Out basically represent MLK and Malcolm X respectively, right?
Right.
Mookie's very much non-violent, where Bugging Out is not afraid to boycott and do some crazy shit, even though they're both going for the same goal, right? Which is where the title of the movie, Do the Right Thing, it comes into play, where it gets really interesting. Like, okay, do the right thing. Does the do part carry as much weight as the right thing part? Like, they're both going for the same goal, but they're trying to achieve it in different ways. Malcolm X was not afraid to use violence. He was not he used it more as a tool than anything else, right? Like he wasn't afraid for, you know, so-called riots or displays of aggression and stuff as a way of like bringing eyes to a problem, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Martin Luther King was very much like pacifist leaning, non-violent, but they were after the same thing. And so when Mookie breaks that kind of with his when he throws the trash can through the window, right, at his own place of work, like it gets hard. You're just like, okay, is he?
I thought he was gonna like hit it and be like, "Come
Yeah.
on, guys."
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, I didn't know what was happening.
I was so naive. I was like,
But
oh,
again,
shit.
like,
Do the right thing is the movie title comes from a quote from Malcolm X. Is you've got to do the right thing. Like that's the direct quote.
yeah. And but when but again, he's throwing a trash can out a window. Like he's not necessarily being violent. He's just like doing something to get people to like pay attention, right? Hey, shit is happening right here.
Yeah, he's mad.
But then it
He's
like
mad.
spirals because, you know, like that's just like the way that, you know, you can attract eyes to a problem. And this is like a thing that a lot of people that I was reading about this stuff, right? Like a lot of researchers into like uprisings and things like that
Yeah.
have come to basically the conclusion that like, you know, when these things happen, when things like what happened in Minneapolis, when things like what are happening across the country, across the world right now, right? Because it's not just here in America. Like things are happening all over the place that are fucking insane. And people are uprising in like, you know, violent ways, physical ways, really.
Yeah.
And what the win is not like, the win is not, oh, the system has changed. The win is the eyes are on this thing now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People know that shit is happening. That's the win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they kind of take it,
Yeah.
you take it one win at a time. And so the way that they kind of like explore all of those things through these very complex characters, and Sal is a complex fucking character. Like the whole time you are kind of like, yeah, he doesn't seem like a bad guy. And even at the very end, you're like, he doesn't seem like a bad guy, but he is kind of a piece of shit, right? And when he was like, here's $500 or whatever, I was like, okay, get the fuck out of here. But then they're like still cool at the end. Not
Yeah.
I owe you
Yeah.
$50, yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
weird. He
And
shows
he
up
takes the
in
rest of the money.
He takes the
Yeah.
rest of the money.
he shows up in his uniform. Did you guys notice he's wearing
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
Sal's
yeah.
famous pizzeria on the back of his shirt?
Like nothing
Yeah.
fucking
It's just, it's a
Isn't he wearing
complex.
a Isn't he wearing a baseball jersey like while he's
Like
working? the
Jackie
whole-
Robinson
Yeah.
Yeah.
at the
Robinson, yeah.
beginning,
Dodgers,
and
yeah.
a Jordan
which is a whole other thing.
jersey before that.
He's got the Jordan's jersey. He's got the Jackie Robinson jersey.
Which is a gripe
Um,
here because
Oh boy.
although he's
Sports
from New
guy.
York, he's a Knicks fan, and he's wearing Jordan's jersey. That is fucking sacrilege because he
Hey.
beat our fucking ass all the fucking time.
You can like your
He's a
team
Knicks
and the
fan.
GOAT, dude. It's okay.
No, fuck no.
Recognize
Yeah,
him.
Stop.
But it becomes
As I
important,
hide my
right?
Jordan jersey.
Oh
as I hide
my
my
God.
Jordan jersey.
Okay.
It becomes
No,
important
no.
because of the one piece is it's almost even a little throwaway is when they run into the white guy who owns the brownstone, right?
Oh, it's a
Yeah.
Larry
They
Bird
explore
jersey.
gentrification,
Yeah,
and
like
he's rocking Larry Bird.
Yeah.
white man. Yeah.
Exactly.
He's like, I was born in Brooklyn.
There's
They're
like, oh,
get out of
That
here.
shit was funny.
somebody."
Right,
It's like,
so funny. Oh,
yeah, the movie is funny. Like
Dude,
you can't really
yeah.
go around that, but it's like
Yeah.
sad at the same time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. And the other piece of the sports stuff, right, that was really interesting is John Tuchero's character, which we haven't talked about him being in this movie.
Which person is
You know,
that?
He's one of the brothers, the Italian brother who was also in the Big Lebowski.
Oh yeah.
um,
The older
know?
brother.
The older brother. When he's talking to Mookie about his favorite athletes,
Yeah.
right? He's going into all that racist shit, and Mookie's like, "Who's your favorite athlete?" And he says like Magic Johnson or something.
Yeah,
Who's your
yeah.
favorite basketball player? Magic Johnson, right? And everything he names after that is
Eddie
a
Murphy.
Blackbird.
Yeah.
yeah. Who's your
exactly.
favorite
Yeah.
actor? Eddie Murphy. Who's your favorite artist? Prince.
Yeah.
They're not real
And
black
he's like-
people. Oh my god,
That's
that
the-
shit was so
yeah, that's-
annoying, dude.
So
But
interesting.
that's how people.
I
think.
know. It's
Oh,
fucked
Yeah,
up.
it's I think when everything was going down with in the last year or so, somebody posted something like, "Hey man, you like think about like your favorite artists, you know?
Yeah.
Like how would you feel if they were choked to death in the middle of the street and you know,
Yeah.
is that what it's going to take for you to start finally seeing what the hell's happening to black people?"
Yeah.
You know, and going back to your thing about like do the right thing, and it's like it's interesting to like see, you know, we can't even have Colin Kaepernick kneel because
Yeah.
it's seen as the wrong thing, and then you
Yeah.
know you didn't fucking listen to us then, and now we're you know now we have to take it to extreme lengths.
Right.
And now you want to listen to us and call us barbarians. So it's like, it's this fucking
Well,
never winning cycle.
Mhm.
and it brings up this interesting thing that Martin Luther King talked a lot about like the white moderate, and like now that I'm thinking about Sal's character a little bit more, is like Martin Luther King kind of talked as you know like the white moderate is like one of the biggest things hurting us as a movement, like as a civil rights movement, like the white people who will just turn a blind eye, right? And like if you watch movies throughout, you know, the 50s, 60s, 70s, like you'll see a lot of that in just the white people who are just like, well, I'm not racist, but like I'm just not gonna
Yeah,
attention
it's
to
not
it.
happening to me, so I'm not gonna like worry about it.
Because it's so easy, right? It's so easy to just be like, well, I don't have to worry about that. Like it's not happening in my neighborhood. And like those are the people who are standing idly by, like watching this stuff happen. And like that kind of is the like the or like the character of Sal is like, well, like I live in a black neighborhood, or like I have a business in a black neighborhood, and they're kind of paying my bills, and like, I'm not really gonna pay attention to like the struggle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's like
yeah,
like the quote that pops up a lot is like, it's not enough to be not racist, you have to be anti-racist. Like you can't just let it go on. You have to fucking stand up for it.
right.
Yeah. And that was the really like I had to think a lot about like bugging out's beef with the whole thing, right? Was like,
Yeah.
Yeah, Sal owns a place. There's only Italians on the wall, but black people go in and spend their money here. Like they're the reason
Yeah.
that you are even open.
The reason the roof's up.
Which is interesting because I think Spike Lee said that he agreed with Sal's take.
Oh,
That
Place you can put whatever.
he wrote the
yeah,
fucking movie.
you get your own fucking pizza place and put up your own fucking thing. I think I read that.
Issue to explore, right? Is ownership, the idea of ownership, and who owns and who works for, and who is just like caught up in it, right?
Yeah,
Which
who's
is like,
keeping the lights on?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a hard.
Yeah, there's no freedom here. That's what he tells him.
Yeah.
There's no freedom here. I'm the boss. Go deliver
the
this
boss.
fucking
Yeah.
pizza.
That's like what people try to fight about, like, oh, like free speech and all this shit. It's like, yeah, you can say whatever you want, but you can't say it here. Like, I don't, like, that's my power that I have to not let you say this dumb shit in my restaurant
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
Which is kind of what he's doing. Not really, but.
And I don't want to take away from this conversation. If anybody has anything else to kind of tack on to this, go for it.
No, there's so much to say there.
I mean,
and like,
yeah, we could talk about this for.
talk about it.
for a
It's an issue that
Yeah.
it's sad how relevant it is, and it's going to continue being. Oh God, who is the? Let's see. Sorry, I need to look up this one character from Saturday Night Live. Michael Shea. He has this great bit on his like quote unquote like race jokes where he's like, it's the same reason Mariah Carey wrote All I Want for Christmas Is You, is like because it's always going to be relevant. It comes back every year. That's why I write a race joke. Is it's always fucking relevant, and like that's the sad reality of it. Is just like, yeah, we're talking about this movie's over 30 years old, and we can relate too strongly to these issues, to the I can't breathe, to the choking out, to the modern day lynching of a black man. Like it's heavy. It's heavy, and
I read a quote from, I think it was a critic or somebody talking about this movie, and they said, and it was like from like a recent time, like last couple of years, and they were like, yeah, the only thing that needs to be updated in this movie is the list of names at the end. And I was like,
God,
it like fucked me up.
Yeah.
Insane.
But so let's try to switch gears a little bit. I want to talk about some more positive notes that this movie had, and I think that this movie did really well, was the comedy. Like, this movie is funny. Like, I watched this movie alone and I was bawling. Like, it's so funny, man. Like,
dude,
specifically, what is his name? Sweet Dick Willie.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Robbie
speaking of Michael
Willie.
Shea, that guy reminded me of him so much. Like, he kind of has the same like mannerisms as him.
Yeah, he does.
Willie, he has the best fucking one line. It's like, if Mike Tyson been dreaming about whipping my ass, he better wake up and apologize. Like, it's just
That's
like,
I wrote that shit down. It's so fucking funny.
It's so funny. It's like, and what I read, like all of the scenes of those three cast members were improvised. Like all of them were just like them
So
fucking.
good.
Oh man.
Just that banter is fucking
It's so-
perfect.
Yeah.
It's probably the funniest banter in the entire film, and it's like every time they're on screen, it's so great, and it's just like such good character building, and it's them like giving each other shit. Like, I ain't gonna do fucking shit. Like, nothing's gonna,
Yeah.
Yeah.
A quote I have from the mayor, right? Which I wanted to say this earlier and I kind of forgot, but like the idea of him being the mayor of this neighborhood when the city has a mayor, right, is a
Yeah.
whole telling thing.
Hmm.
But when he goes into the store to get his Miller High Life and they don't have it, so he has to get the Miller Lite and he bags it. That shit was hilarious. But the thing that he says is like, I took it as a nugget of wisdom. He was like, "You asking a lot for a man to change his beer." And I was
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
That's real.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good.
My favorite. Okay, and like we're talking about fucking relevancy. The one dude is talking about the polar ice caps melting.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah.
We're talking global warming while Texas is freezing its
Yeah.
fucking ass off this
I'll
weekend.
believe in global
Casually
warming.
drop that.
I'll believe in climate
Yeah.
change if when Texas freezes over. It literally just happens. Like, all right.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like
Cool.
First quote, yeah.
he's like oh I'm gonna be floating around on my boat. I'm not gonna throw you guys a lifeline. Or
You got no
nothing."
boat or whatever. He's
He's like, how are you gonna get a fucking boat?
so
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
man.
It's
Yeah.
See,
It's
like-
just the
Great.
back on each other is
Like that kind of stuff is why this movie did not fucking drag at all, dude. Like I feel like it was so
Yeah.
good in every
Yeah.
character's
Yeah,
banter
they-
was fucking solid.
I
But-
agree. They put that they spaced it out well. I mean, maybe the first line I was just tired. I don't know. Something about it.
Sure, sure.
Felt
no. I
dragged
feel
out.
you. I think it takes some time to understand
what's going on a little
what
bit.
the real conflict is in this film, and like what
Yeah.
like where are we going, and you realize like, oh, it's a system. Like it's
Mhm.
all of it. Like
Yeah.
all of it's a conflict.
Yeah.
So,
Touching on some cinematography aspects here. So, the use of color, right? Really
Beautiful.
cool. Lots of red, lots of warm colors, which
Yeah.
are on purpose to go with the hot temperatures, the rising tensions, staying away
Yeah.
purposefully from blues and greens because they're too cooling.
Yeah.
Like the dudes who banter are against a
That red
real
brick.
red wall.
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
it's always present, it's always warm, and it makes you kind of feel, I don't know, feel a little heat, feel a little
to add to that, I watched this movie in the morning, and I was drinking coffee, and I was just listening to Samuel L. Jackson, like, it's gonna be another hot one today, and I was just like drinking. I was like, man, I don't even want coffee. It's so hot.
Yeah.
Warm.
They even
Um,
used heat lamps to get that
That
like, you know, when you
perspiration.
I was like,
Yeah,
everyone
you-
is
like,
sweaty, dude. Yeah.
everyone's sweating, everyone's sticky, but like the heat lamp does the little
a wave
like
in the
Oh, right.
heat waves.
Yeah.
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 They also use a lot of Dutch angles. You guys know what those are?
Like the
It's where they tilt it a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah.
Especially
Yeah,
on
so-
Radio Raheem, dude. A lot on him.
Yeah.
Okay, so interesting things here, right? They do that a lot, but it gradually gets more drastic, right?
Like the angle of
last
it.
few that you see are before the radio gets smashed and everything happens,
Yeah.
and they're very like hard tilt, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what was really cool, and I know that there's one specifically on Radio Raheem, but I know that they do it a lot, is when they would totally pan to just a full front shot narrative view. Like when Radio Raheem goes on his monologue about the love and hate,
Oh yeah.
it's it's front and center, it's looking right at him, and they did that a lot.
And then it's
I
like
mean-
one take, it backs out, and then Spike Lee's still standing there, like as if he was talking to him. So good. I loved that.
Every time they did that, I was
Yeah.
like, "Fuck, this is sick! This
Mhm.
is sick!"
Yeah.
And when those things were happening, because it kind of happens early on and kind of bleeds into the later parts of the movie. Because initially, right, first 20, 25, 30 minutes, I was just like, I don't understand why this movie is so praised.
Mhm.
And like, you know, even though halfway through it did feel a little drag for me, I started to understand. I was like, okay, they're doing a lot here. There's a lot happening. And it just got like so much more insane.
Dude, shout out to one camera movement, I guess, technical thing that I loved. I don't remember whose apartment it was. It might have been Mookie or something. It's like in their apartment, and it just zooms out of the window and then turns to
I think
like
it
the
was Mother
street.
Sisters.
Was it? Yeah.
Mother Sisters. Yeah.
That shit, it just zoomed out of the apartment all the way down to the street, and I was like, holy fuck, that was one take. So cool.
Yeah.
And in 1989, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
That's
Beautiful.
awesome.
Beautiful.
Another great camera thing when it's the scene where Radio Raheem gets murdered, and it like kind of it gives you a view of everything, right? The firemen are coming, the police are coming, the building's on fire, people are like all over the place, and then it goes to Mookie, and then it just zooms in on him on the curb, and it just zoom, where he's like realizing all the things in his head. It's just like this shit is fucking crazy. Like, you know, the thoughts that he must be processing in that moment. And I think that's when he makes the decision to throw the trash can.
Yeah.
But like all this shit is happening around him, you know, and it just like, and people walk in front of the camera and stuff, and it just like keeps zooming on him. And I was just like, fuck, this is cool. This is good. Like it's
Yeah.
yeah, it felt, I don't know, it felt different. It felt different than anything I had seen in a long time,
Yeah.
in like a good way, right? Like
Yeah.
it kind of can like, and I feel like that's a very fine line. Like you can do that poorly and it'll be shitty, but they didn't do it poorly, and it worked like really well.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that was it for camera stuff that I noticed. But
I mean, it's not, I guess, technically a camera thing, but just the way that they weren't afraid to just keep the camera on Radio Raheem. He was like after he fucking died, like the way he's just like limp,
yeah,
like getting carried to the car and stuff is like, oh my god, like is he dead? Like why are you showing me him so much? Like it's so brutal to watch, you know?
I mean, and that's kind of the thing is like that's the thing about just like the white moderate, right? And like why this movie is important and like why people need to watch this is like you can't go away.
Yeah.
You can't just go away and pretend that this isn't happening.
Mm-hmm.
Here it
Yeah.
is, and it was laid out right in front of you, and there's no getting around this. Like this is happening. This is what America is, and this is a problem. Like right, and we need to know that it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a good, I don't know if it's a line or just kind of the vibe, but the next day when, you know, there's kids playing in the street and shit, right? It's just like a normal day going on.
Life's back to normal,
Goes
dude.
on.
Ah, it's crazy.
But there's
It's
Gonna be
point,
another scorcher.
there's a point where, and I don't know if it's the mayor or maybe it's Mookie or one of them. There's just this sense of like, they're kind of talking about like, yeah, the pizza shop was burned to the ground or whatever. And someone is like, but we're still
Yeah,
standing.
that's
Like, and there's a sense of pride of like,
that's the mayor and mother sister. He's like, I hope the neighborhood's
Yeah.
still standing, and she's like, well, we're still standing. Like, that's all that
Yeah.
matters, you know?
yeah. And
Fuck.
I was like, fuck.
Yeah, that was a
That's
good
big.
scene, dude.
I mean, the whole ending is just, and even like, you know, there's just so much more. Even after Radio Raheem dies and gets taken away, like, and then it goes to the next day, there's still so much more happening that you're just like, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 30, 45 minutes of just like, okay, the water is fucking boiling, the heat has peaked, and we are just gonna send you through this shit, and it's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, boys. I think we're rounding out a round of an hour here. Do we have any rounding thoughts that we want to get off before we jump into reviews?
We didn't talk about thanking the right nipple and the left nipple at all with the ice cubes.
Interesting thing.
I don't know. That's all I had to say about it.
So I read
Maybe some fan service.
Rosie Perez did not want her face in that scene because it was apparently a very difficult scene for her to shoot. She was like crying and like just really not happy about being nude on camera.
Ooh,
But
that's not.
later
that's
on
not
in
great.
Hill,
Don't make her. What the fuck?
well,
Sorry.
later on in her film career, she was just like she had been nude on camera like in other films and stuff. But yeah, it was like something where she was like, I'll do it. Like, didn't want to go in that. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I guess we could just say it's 1989. I don't know. Take that as you will, but
Kind of weird. Yeah.
kind of yeah, no, but an interesting scene nonetheless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One great little thing, and I don't know. Okay, it's right at the beginning where he like leaves the apartment for the first time, and I think they're like Jehovah's Witness or something, right? Are coming up to him, and he just like walks out of the gate, and like they say like one word, and he's
Oh,
like, "Hell no!" and
yeah.
he just keeps walking.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if I remember that, but
I was
no.
like, the
Yeah.
amount of times I've wanted to do this, but just haven't. Like, holy shit,
Yeah.
live vicariously through Mookie.
Yeah.
All right. Let's jump right into our ratings. I think we're about ready. I haven't went first in a very long time. I feel like I'm ready to take this over.
Oh shit.
Take
Do it.
it by the
All right.
horns.
Okay, so going into this movie, I remember thinking, like, okay, a movie from 1989, and I remember I was trying to watch this, but my internet was shit at the time, and it was like lagging at the intro scene. And as we've said, the intro scene is like 5 minutes long. It's like far. I'm not watching this goddamn movie right now. So like when I actually booted it up and had a solid connection, there was this thing that was just like, oh man, like I just have to watch. It almost felt like a chore. I'm gonna be honest. It almost felt like a chore. And as the movie started progressing, I started laughing, and the character development, like just the way the characters are so themselves, and you just learn so much about the characters. And the film takes place over what, 2 days, a day and a half. It's not that long, but you know so much about the characters and so much about like how they relate to one another, and it's just such good world building. Like the story was just so well written, and for the most part pretty well acted. I think, you know, it was good. It was a solid B on acting. I think overall, like it wasn't, blown out of the water, but it was solid. Um, yeah, and as we've talked throughout this episode, it was like, where is the conflict? I think the first half of the movie, you're really looking for it, and you're like, okay, who is going to run into some big task? Is Mookie's character going to just be like, oh shit, like I have to, like, my girlfriend's pregnant again, and like, how do I make the mortgage payment? Or like, where's the big conflict? Where's the big problem that needs to be resolved? But throughout the film, you just kind of realize like this is just a movie about a neighborhood and about all of these races. This melting pot of people. You have Koreans, you have Puerto Ricans, you have Italians, you have blacks. Like it's just all of these people like coexisting, and it's how their relationships are with one another. And when you zoom out, you see like when you're looking on a micro level, you're seeing their tensions between one another, and then when you zoom out, you see the bigger picture issue of the systemic problem, and the problem being poverty, and you know being a minority. And it's a movie that will take you through. It'll make you laugh. Like it's really funny, and it can also dive into like these really deep rooted issues that are way more relevant today than they really should be. And I don't know, it's so important. It's such an important movie. I think everyone ought to watch it, and it's just really good. So with all of that being said, this is definitely Hall of Fame worthy. This is a solid 9.25 for me.
Whoa.
Nice.
So that's where I'm at with it. Who wants to
I
take
can
it
take
over?
it if nobody
Hey Jay,
is burning to go.
you should take it.
All right, I'll take it.
Hey Jay,
I'll take this one.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of those points. I mean, it's a movie that you don't want it to be relevant 30 plus years later, and then when you realize that it might even be more relevant, it's just like, are we regressing in these things? Like, it's fucking sad. And even like the people that they kind of portray, like the big ideas through, like MLK and Malcolm X. Like, when is the last time that we've had people like that, like like they personally end up dead, which is like fucking bullshit, right? Like, and the ways that they end up dead is fucking bullshit. Like we haven't even gone down that road, and it's
Yeah.
insane. And like,
Mhm.
you know, just to have these problems continue over like the color of people's skin, it's so fucking sad. Like, yeah, I know I'm the one that gets emotional during movies, but like this movie is funny and you're lighthearted. It feels a little lighthearted, and then it just hits you like a truck. But at the end, for some reason, when they show Martin Luther King's quote and then Malcolm X's quote, I just
Dude.
fucking lost it, dude. I
Yeah.
lost it. I was
Yep.
like, I cannot believe that this is still a fucking problem. Like for some reason, and like, who am I to even feel that way? Like, how does it feel to be like a black person in America in 2021? Like it's something that none of us would ever know, but like for some reason I just fucking lost it. I was like, this is too much for me right now. Can't handle it. And yeah, I mean it's a beautiful movie. It's shot well, it's acted well, it's written well, and it's funny, but they like get to the root of issues, and it's controversial, which is a good thing. Like if you're controversial, then you're doing something right. 9 times out of 10, I would say, right? And like it's just, I don't know. It's a movie that I don't even really know how to rate. Like I didn't watch the movie. Like usually I watch a movie and then I'm like, okay, this was a whatever score. But with this one, I saw
You just
the quotes and I was just like, yeah, I was just like, I don't even know what to fucking do with myself right now. Like
I
I
still
like,
don't know. I
like
still don't know.
yeah, I watched it like during like my lunch break at work, and it ended, and I was like, I don't even want to go back to work. Like, I need to go do something, right? And yeah, so like just the way that it made me feel, like I just knew in like my heart of hearts that it was a good movie. I immediately bought the Criterion version
Nice.
and
That's a
like
good
it
cover
got it
too.
shipped to my house because
Nice.
it's like it's it's I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like something, it's timeless and it's not, right? There's like elements of age, but there's a lot that hasn't, and it's just weird. It's a weird, surreal experience, especially for where we are in as a country, as a people right now. And
20D batteries, dude. That's
20 deep
aged.
How much money is
He
that?
puts that in
Jesus
the fucking
Christ.
boombox.
That's probably a lot of money, if we're being real.
That's crazy. Anyway,
But
sorry.
for me, I don't know, dude. I agree with Adrian. I think it's Hall of Fame. I think it has to be like a 9.4 for me. And I'm
Wow.
just like
Holy moly.
regurgitating that out in the moment.
Nice.
Cool.
So 9.4 out of J. Who wants to go next? Taryn, James?
I'll go. I'll go.
Does the nose goes
Um,
and then just like, no, I'll go.
Yeah, nose goes. I go. with
Right,
the
right,
nose.
right.
This movie is, I don't know, I live for those colors in this movie. Like, for me, like I know it's supposed to feel hot, but I mean, it's been cold here, so like I was cold and I was watching that and I was like, that looks so comfy and so
Being warm, eating ice
nice.
cream, you're like,
Yeah, drinking a fucking Miller, brother. Hell yeah. Um, this movie is incredibly complicated and everything feels so tight. Feels very tight. Um that was a long pause.
My internet went out. Oh god.
Try to gather my thoughts. Maybe
good,
we
you're
should have
good.
went. Yeah, just the shots, the colors, everything that went into this movie that just made it feel so authentic. Like this was what Queen and Slim was missing.
Dude,
I
okay,
think in
wow,
Queen
yeah.
and Slim, I think Queen and Slim showed the community over like a vast majority, but there's nothing like a neighborhood. There's nothing like just really getting to know a little bit about everybody. I think we kind of didn't talk about Mookie's sister when she goes into Sal's shop, which I thought was very important. I've read a quote where you love our women but you don't love our men, kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh my god.
You know, where you kind of sexualize black women, women of color, but you don't love their men, you know? And I think that was kind of apparent with Sal and Mookie's sister. And, you know, I think it's apparent today. Just so many different layers to this movie. It's not entirely black and white. I think it's just a ton of gray. It's a boiling gray goop that's just ready to overflow. And man, you can't hate on Samuel Jackson as this overarching god.
So
He's
good.
like,
Yeah.
it's just like, man, the whole racism montage is fucking incredible, and he's like, you guys need to cool
Yeah,
down.
dude,
What
he
does say? You
slides
guys need to
across the
chill.
room in his chair. I was like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's like, you know, they're breaking the fourth wall, talking directly into the camera.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny. Like, you just kind of see how everybody has their animosity towards somebody else when
Yeah,
in
somebody.
reality the system is stacked against them, you know? You see the people on the side of the corner mad that the Koreans got their chance when the fact or I don't know, I don't want to say it's a fact. They probably were fucking escaping poverty in Korea
Yeah.
just to fucking get a break here, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's just interesting to see it. Just, you know, you never know what's going on in somebody's backyard. You're always so focused on what's going on with your life, and yeah, this movie makes you think an incredible lot of things. It's just so intense, so many layers, so complex. And I don't know what to rate it. I feel like the things that I'm saying should make it a 9, but I don't know if I believe it's a 9.
Say what you feel, James.
8.8
Okay. Leaving the
is where I'm
Hall of
at.
Fame dream alive.
There you go. I don't feel bad now.
Do the math. What do I have to give it to? No, I'm just kidding.
Give it what your heart desires.
Yeah, no,
Harry.
I'm just kidding.
It might be our
No
50th
pressure.
episode. It doesn't have to be Hall of Fame, but
Harry.
Damn, I totally
take-
forgot it was the 50th episode.
Oh,
also I didn't get to talk shit about Spike Lee enough.
Oh.
Never wear the Bulls Jordan jersey. I think this was years before Michael
no.
Jordan just like totally fucked
Yeah.
with the Knicks every year. But
They didn't have
come
the.
on, man.
They didn't even put Jordan's name on it. They won't even go all the way. You know, it's okay.
What was his last team? The Wizards? It doesn't matter.
It is. It's
it doesn't matter. Yes.
It was
Yeah.
baseball.
team
No,
baseball.
that was in between, I think. But anyway,
Yeah.
Taryn, take it away. Where you
Oh
at?
man. Okay. So before I forget, I'm gonna go off of what James was talking about, like the Korean family. It's like that kind of stuff. Like his scene where he's like, "We are the same. Like we are all fucking struggling, dude."
He's
Like
like,
that
I'm
was
black. So
Yeah.
weird.
that was a little weird,
It's
but
like,
I got it. We got it. You know?
But it meant like
Yeah.
I'm an ally. Like I'm not
Yeah.
your enemy, right?
It's just
Yeah.
like fuck, man. Like
Public
everyone,
enemy number 1. Yeah.
everyone's struggling in their own way. You know? It's like
Yeah.
you don't fucking nobody knows what's going on behind the scenes. Like James said, it's like I don't know. I loved that scene. Just get that out of the way. This movie is so masterful in so many ways, dude. Like this movie did not drag for a minute. I was like, fuck, dude, it's 2 hours. Oh my god, I gotta watch it. You know, like that normal shit. But it's like, holy fuck, it flew by. The acting was so good. The banter, like all the dialogue between everyone, like was so good. It was so
A
realistic.
lot of it
dude.
improvised. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like I could see it. Like it's just so real, dude.
Mhm.
Like it's just crazy to me how much of a sense of community this movie makes you feel. You know what I mean? Like you get like this whole area, like it makes it feel like nothing outside of this neighborhood exists. Like, you know what I mean? Everyone
Yeah.
in this movie is like in this neighborhood and they're all interacting with each other and they're not worrying about like the outside of this neighborhood.
It's like a closed system.
Yeah.
where it's just them. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that. Like it made it feel so real, but also so like a little fantastical in that like this is the whole world. You know what I mean? Like this is all they have to worry about, so that's all we're gonna see. But then like the cops come in and like that feels like so different, like obvious, like on purpose, you know.
Mhm.
But I don't know, man. Like just watching all the different kids and stuff playing in the water is just like we get that line like keep your showers down to a minute, blah blah blah, or run out of water, all this shit, and like they're just having so much fun. It's like how could you fucking stop this? And the cops come up and fucking
My
my
dad
God.
did that shit in New York City. They did it so much that the fire department actually added a certain spigot to allow it to flow like a waterfall.
Oh, like
Oh, that's
to
cool.
promote it? Like
Yeah.
to
That's
encourage it?
cool.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah,
in
fuck
New York
water.
City. So I mean, that was a long ass time ago too.
Plenty of
It
water
all
on
came
this
out of the
planet.
Hudson anyway, dude.
Fuck water 2021.
Yeah.
Sorry, Darren. Sorry.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. And then like just the whole movie just feels like this weird dreamlike area. And then like at the end it just comes crashing down and it's just so real, especially now with George Floyd. I'm just like, God damn it, why is this so relevant? It makes me so mad, dude. Like I don't know. I don't even know what to say. Like there's nothing I could say to make it sound as good as it does in my head or as what you guys have said. It's just like it's just so upsetting that this is still relevant, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as a movie, like it's just done so well. Like I could see why it's in the Criterion, why it's like this big thing, why I had to watch it at school, like all this stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it's great. It's really fucking good.
Which is surprising because Spike Lee did fucking Old Boy remake and that's shit.
Oh.
Sometimes you
There
need
we
a
go.
paycheck, brother.
Now there we go.
They-
I forgot my
They
Spike
can't
Lee
all be
hatred
hits.
again.
They can't
Come
all
on,
be
here we
hits.
go. All right.
Wait, so your
stupid
hatred has
ass.
nothing to
Why-
do with this movie? Like his acting or nothing? That's what I thought it might have been.
No,
It's just Old Boy.
it's the New York Knicks and the Old Boy remake.
Yeah, that was Alonzo's
You
joke
kidding me?
because it's always like a Spike Lee joint, and this was and Old Boy was a Spike Lee job, Spike Lee paycheck.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Hey man, you gotta get that money somehow.
Yeah.
Sorry, derailed your review. Anyways,
no, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, speaking of Fight the Power, dude, that's the Public Enemy song. The use of that was
Public
so
Enemy
fucking.
#1. Yeah.
I was so surprised that, according to Wikipedia or whatever article I fucking read, was this movie kind of blew them up, blew Public Enemy up. I was like, damn, I thought they were just huge already, but
Yeah.
cool.
I don't know.
Shout out to them. Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I'm so lost now. All these derailings, bro. Fuck.
You're good, brother. You're good.
my bad, dude. Shit.
Yeah, it is your fucking.
Blame Spike, dude.
Thanks for Old Boy. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Yeah, like you said, it makes you feel so many things. It's just, I love when movies do that, dude. Movies are empathy machines, and this is a very good example of that. So I guess I'll rate it now, and I don't know what to rate it, but hopefully it makes Hall of Fame 9.1.
Hey,
A
it's
9.1 out of 10, which brings us to our 50th episode, makes it into the Film Fumbler Hall of Fame. A collective 9.1375. So
Oh,
a
thank God.
9.14.
Got it in there.
So we
Easy
are
clap.
at a 9.14. Made it into the Hall of Fame.
Nice.
50 episodes down. Fucking thank all of you. Thank everyone who is in the stream right now watching us live. Thank you if you're listening or watching this on YouTube, on Spotify, on Google Podcasts, on Apple, anywhere you're listening. Thank you guys so much. We would not be here if we didn't have a couple of people listening at least.
If
Yeah,
you missed the beginning, We did a game show. I'm gonna put that on YouTube. Go watch it. It's really fun.
Yeah, we had such a good
Well
time. Yeah. Yeah, so much fun all around. And this episode specifically, we talked a lot about like how what can you do to be an ally? What can you do today, right now? I just want to give a quick shout out to website blacklivesmatter.com/partners. There is a list of organizations that you can donate to today to help the movement, to fight the power, have your voice be heard. So yeah, blacklivesmatter.com/partners. There's going to be a list of places you can donate there. Anyway, next week we will be reviewing Get Out. Jordan Peele. I'm so glad. I would have felt so bad if we didn't do a Jordan Peele movie. So next week, that is going to be our last movie for Black History Month. That movie is going to, or excuse me, that episode is going to be released on February 27th. Be sure to tune into that. We're going to have a couple of guests on that episode. So it's going to be a special episode. Taryn and Jay will not be joining us. So,
Sadly.
yeah, sadly, it's
Regretfully.
I'll write in a
regretfully.
couple
I feel like
sentences.
maybe
I'll
by
definitely
default
watch
it's yeah. So that Get Out, Jordan Peele, February 27th, our final Black History Month movie.
Alonzo, Matthew Atkins.
Yeah, Alonso
Guest.
and Matthew are going to be our guests on that episode. Be sure you are following all of our socials. You can find all of those at filmfumblers.com, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of that good stuff. Yeah, if you're watching live, stay tuned for the after show. But other than that, I think that about does it. Filmfumblers.com. We'll see you guys next time. Cheers.
Cheers.
It's Miller time, baby.
It.